Welcome to Sube la Vibra, Susie Carder.
Hola, ¿cómo está?
Wow, I didn't know that.
Un poquito.
Thank you very much, Susie. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Susie, you are the COO of Motivating the Masses. Can you tell us how do you ended working with Lisa Nichols?
Yeah, so actually, I ran the company for 10 years. And I started out, Lisa was one of my clients. She was just a consulting client. And then in 2010, I decided to join her company full time. And we took that company from, a 7-figure to a 9-figure, 10-figure business, which is really exciting. So that's a lot of zeros. That's all we need to know about that. And my job, my goal, my passion was to really build the infrastructure to build a international training and development company. I'd already done that for myself. I built the largest training and development company in the beauty industry and wanted to now kind of spread my wings and work with Lisa. She's such a joy to work with. She's an amazing, amazing human being. A love bucket, and like what you see is what you get. So when you see her videos and you see what she's up to, that's who she really is. So our goal is to empower people, across the globe. So I think we've accomplished that result. We've done a really good job at that result, and we just keep playing bigger, bolder, inside of what we're up to.
That's wonderful. Susie, I am from Venezuela, and I have been here in the United States since 6 years ago, and I have many people that are starting a new life right now. And the first thing when I opened your website, I found that you have here, wealth is your birthright.
Yes.
And normally for us, when we come here or anywhere, we're afraid of this.
Yes.
Can you talk about this, please?
I can. Well, the great thing when you come to our country, wealth is your birthright, right? If I look at where I started, I came from a very large family. I grew up 5 minutes from the border of Mexico. So that was my playground, if you will. There was 9 of us, 9 kids, plus my parents. So there was 11 of us inside of a 1,200 square foot home. My dad was a steelmaker. My mom was a seamstress. So there was never money, right? I grew up in a household of there's not enough, there's never enough, don't ask for any because you're not getting any. And, God put something on my heart to create something bigger for myself. It wasn't material that I was seeking. It was, a new possibility. I knew I was put here to make a difference. So I wanted to create, I didn't know what that looked like, back in the day. But, when I was in high school, I used to wear my little business suits and my hair in a bun. I was a businesswoman back then. I think back and I'm like, how funny is that? I'd have my little briefcase going to high school because I was a businesswoman. My brothers and sisters used to make fun of me, but it was just something in me. I'm like, I'm just here to do work and good work in the world. And when you put your plan in place, your plan is, I don't have a formal education. I have a high school diploma. So I try to let people know that I created my wealth from learning like this, being on YouTube classes, being in seminars, being in, there was 9 kids. There was no money for college. They didn't talk about college. They didn't talk about, it was like, go get married, go get a job. And so I knew that I had that entrepreneur spirit. So I wanted to create that. And the great thing about being an entrepreneur is we write our own paychecks. How much money do I want to make? And what do I need to do to go make that? What skill sets do I have? And that's what you really have to look at, leveraging. What skill sets do you bring? I would do an exercise, and the exercise is on one side, put down, what are the things you love to do? Like what brings you joy? Because you can choose a lot of professions, but you don't want to choose something for money. Because at the end of the day, you can make a lot of money, but you'll still be miserable. So I'm lucky enough that every day I get to do what I love to do. And I get paid to do what I love to do, right? And so it's creating what's that thing you're passionate about. And for me, it's, you know, back in the day, I started out as a hairdresser, right? And I made $250,000 a year working 3 days a week as a hairdresser. That's unheard of in that industry. Then I opened one of the top salons and spas in the industry. So I took that knowledge, then opened a salon and spa, and we became the top 1% in the nation, top 10% in the world. Then I took that skill set and I started teaching salon and spa owners how to run a business, and then built that to the largest training and development company in the beauty industry, and then sold that for millions, and then started working with other entrepreneurs outside of the industry because they're like, we love you, will you teach us? I'm like, I don't know anything about what you do. I mean, Elizabeth, they were like, I would have landscape designers coming to me, will you teach me? I'm like, I don't know anything about grass, right? I'd have interior decorators coming to, will you work with me? And I'm like, I know pretty things, but I don't know your pricing. I don't know how to do that. And I find that that's God for me, you know, knocking, giving me opportunity. And I finally decided, I keep getting all these opportunities. Let me look at this. And so I was scared to death. I'm not going to lie. I was so afraid. I'm like, I have these people wanting me to coach them in their businesses. And I'm like, I know what I'll do. I will raise my prices so high, I will scare them. And then they won't want to work with me. So I doubled my prices that I was already charging in my other business, and they gladly paid it. And then I was like, oh no, now I have to do it. So once I did a couple, I'm not going to say once I did one, because the fear was not gone after one, right? I think the thing that really scared me, I got hired by some doctors to come in and do this communication training. I don't know how I sold my way into that, Elizabeth, but that was like the opportunity. So, you know, I'm like, I'm going to do this. I can do it. And then I realized what I got myself into. I literally had 10 physicians around the table, and my voice in my head was like, oh my gosh, who do you think you are? You're not smart enough. You're not good enough. Like, they're going to know you're a fraud. I just had to quiet that voice and go, I know what I know. Let me just teach what I know. And if it's a flop, whatever, I give them their money back. And it was amazing, right? So then I'm like, if I could teach doctors, I could teach anyone, because they were the most intimidating. The doctors and the attorneys were the ones that scared me the most. So when I say wealth is your birthright, it's your birthright because you choose, right? Choose that thing. Like, write down what you're passionate about. Like, what are the things that light you up? And then write down what your skills are. That's all I did. And every time I launched a business, created a business, what am I most passionate about? And how can I serve the market the way the market's never been served? And so if you come from that place and knowing you're never going to be perfect, you're never going to have it all figured out in your head. You know, I think as entrepreneurs, we're trying to wait for the right time, the right opportunity. It's never the right time or the right opportunity. You just have to jump and go, I'm going to try this, you know, and I failed miserably. I've had lots of failures as well, you know, so it's a roller coaster, right? Of high highs and low lows. And, you know, I think everyone's trying to get to this even place. And when you're at an even place, like if you think about when you go to the hospital, you know, when your heart beats like this, you know, that means you're alive, and everyone's trying to get their life like this. But in the hospital, that means you're dead. So I have to remind myself, this means I'm alive. This means it's working. This means I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. It's just some days are harder than others. And, you know, and then other days I get to do stuff like this, which is really fun and contribute to a whole new community, which is really amazing.
I love it. But what I love most is that you did, you know, the fear didn't stop you. And this is something that we have to overcome, no? Our fears, our emotional and mental fear, yeah?
Yes. Well, fear, you know, it stops you for a bit or a minute, you know. I remember when I first started speaking, not because I wanted to be a speaker, but because I wanted to get in front of a bunch of people so I could sell them my services, right? It wasn't about, oh, I want to be a speaker. I'm like, wait a minute, I could talk to one person, or I can get in front of a group of people and sign them all up, right? The first time I did this, I was doing it at a lunch and learn for a corporation, and talked my way in there. You know, I'm a good talker, apparently. So the day of the event, I had no formal training speaking whatsoever, none at all. I've been speaking for 25 years now. And so that was I had a lot of cahoots, man, to just go do that. And so I woke up that morning and I was, oh my God, I was so scared, Elizabeth. I started throwing up. I had to go to the bathroom. I couldn't get out of the bathroom. I was so nervous. I'm like, I can't do this. I'm sweating. I'm like, I must be really sick. So I called the lady up and I said, listen, I can't come today. And she's like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? And I'm like, my aunt died. And she's like, oh my gosh, call me later. I'm so sorry. Don't worry about it at all. I'm like, okay, we can schedule in 2 weeks. So that'll be good. She goes, oh, well, don't worry about it now, honey. You just call me. I'm ready to reschedule. I'm like, phew, I got out of it. So then, the next week went around. I studied some more. The next week, I'm like, I can do it this time. I'm going to do it. So I wake up again. I'm throwing up. I have to go to the bathroom again. I'm like, I'm sick again. I'm like, I cannot cancel on this lady. I cannot, like, nobody else can die. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Literally, I drove around that building like so many times, and I had to talk myself through it. Like, get out of the car, get out of the car, get out of the car. And then, I had my little briefcase, had my little bun in my hair, just walk up there. And then scared to death during the whole thing. But on the other side, it was so euphoric. It was so amazing. Just because I went through the fear, I sucked. I was horrible. Let me be really clear. I was horrible. I wish I had a video from back then because it was bad. Because I had no formal training, but I got 3 customers. So my presentation was horrible, but I got 3 customers. So that was awesome. And so at that time, an average customer was worth about $1,200 a year for me, right? So you look at, that was a good day, right? So I started doing more of those. So the fear is always there is, are you willing to, stay in bed or stay sick? Or I could have easily sabotaged the second time, but my inner willpower, that pride was like, you cannot do this again. So and we all have those experiences. We all have that nervousness or excitement. Some people call it excitement. I call it excitement now. It was not excitement back then. But I think what's important, Elizabeth, is you have to have a tribe. You have to have someone that you can call and go, here's where I'm at right now. And I want to quit. I want to stay in bed. I don't want to do this. I'm scared to death. I was just talking to Lisa last week because I'm publishing my new book, Bootstrap to Big Time. And we're putting together the book tour, and we're putting together the bestsellers book tour, and we're putting together, we're going to be in the New York Times bestselling. And she goes, I'm like, I'm really nervous and scared. I said, I haven't been scared for myself in a long time. I've been scared for you many times because the things we promise on her behalf scare me, but I don't have to deliver like what she has to. And she goes, you know what, Susie, you should be really scared. No, she goes, but I'll hold your hand the whole way. I'm like, okay, phew. So we're